Welcome to another stream. This is a pretty exciting one. We've all been looking forward to this one quite a bit. Steve?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like 10 out of 10.
Paulo?
I'm pretty excited. I wouldn't say I'm super excited, but pretty excited.
What, like out of what? 10 out of 10?
It's probably be a 10 out of 10, but I got a little bit of a cold, so
Okay.
it brings it down.
I am well, feeling healthy. I'm a 10 out of 10 as well. So today we're going to show you Hellboy.
Yes.
So that's incredible. We've been waiting for him for a long time, as of you guys. So we're going to show Hellboy today. But first, another thing people get really excited about, we're going to talk about patch notes before we get to Hellboy. And there's some big stuff.
Balanced stuff.
Balanced patch stuff. But before we start, let's do this. Steve Brownback, say hello.
Hey, I'm Steve Brownback, QA analyst.
I'm Paulo Garcia, designer in the game.
Tyler Lansdowne, community specialist, and behind the desk, a man who always goes hard in the paint. We got Matt Burke.
Hey everybody,
What are you doing over there, Matt?
going hard in the paint.
Always going hard in the paint. All right, guys, so we're going to start with talking about some patch information, right?
Yeah.
So there should be today, right?
Yeah,
For Xbox.
It'll be today. It's going to be coming out today on Xbox. This patch contains some Xbox One X enhancements. So if you're picking up an Xbox One tonight, the game will fully support it with improved graphics and improved performance and whatnot.
Right.
It'll be coming out for PS3 or PS4. Actually.
Yeah, we go. Not PS3.
It'll be coming out for PS4 early next week to make sure that these balance changes don't affect the league tournament and everything.
Right, so we have the World Championships going on. Don't affect that. But then Hellboy comes the 14th for those of you with the Ultimate Pack, Fighter Pack 2, Ultimate Edition, all that stuff. So very exciting. Hellboy is coming. Also, today, I don't know if you guys saw the tweets, PC Beta
PC Beta.
has begun. So I hope you're double monitoring now, playing our beta and watching us talk about what's going to be on the PC later.
Yeah.
So, excellent. So I think we should get down to business. We have some balance issues.
Yeah, I think very similar to the first balance update we did right after EVO. Our goal here wasn't to like change the game. I think we're very happy with how the game plays. The community is very happy with how the game plays, but we wanted to make slight adjustments to make some things that were a little bit too good, a little bit not as good, and some things a little bit better that we wanted to be better. But overall, it's not like a meta shifting change. It's just a little tweaks.
Cool. And there's definitely, we do get a lot of tweets and stuff of people what characters that they're super interested in and
Yes.
stuff and a lot of the characters have been asked about
Yes.
are getting some significant buffs.
There's one particular character where we actually were asked, why didn't you buff this character? And now we have.
Yep. And that character is,
You'll have to see.
let's just tell them.
Blue Beetle.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so
and that's not the one I was thinking of.
oh, you're thinking about another one?
Yep. So there we go.
Okay.
All right. So let's go to the selection screen. How many characters received help?
Maybe 14 to 13 characters. Not help, just changes, period.
Right.
We're only going to talk about 10 to 12 because, as always, we're not going to go over every single minutia change. If a move is now like 1 frame faster, you can read about that in the patch notes that will be out later today.
Right.
We're going to go over kind of some of the bigger like sweeping changes and explain more of like what we were thinking when we made the change and how it's going to affect gameplay rather than like the absolute minutia. So there's going to be a few characters who we won't talk about because they got really, really, really minor changes that the hardcore guys will be interested in. You can read about that.
Right. Before we start that, though, there's one thing also we could probably talk about is interactables.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of, can we just give a blanket statement of sort of what's happening with those?
So overall, there's a lot more interactables that were unblockable or now either blockable with overhead or mid, and then to compensate for that, some of them do more damage. Some of them start up faster, like a lot of the bomb planing interactables. Most of those are not blockable, but they start up quite a bit faster, so you can use them inside of combos and stuff. And if you want, you can meter burn them for armor to still get out of situations where you're using them to get out of situations. But it doesn't present as many of like these like super effective like setups you can do on other players where they didn't have many answers against them. So they're more in line now with all the other interactables together.
And that does not mean that every unblockable interactable is going to be blockable now. A lot are, but like if you throw a car, if Superman picks up a car and throws it at Batman, Batman still can't block it.
Right.
So there's going to be some, or somewhere you take like a huge generator and slam it down. Those are still going to be unblockable. But a lot of them where you're like throwing something, they're going to be blockable now. And then yes, the bombs.
And some of them have some more fun changes, like the big swinging like engine in a Red Sun Prison background. That one acts a different reaction now. So power characters can actually get a combo after it, similar to a background bounce. So there's been changes like that, some interactables where because they're not blockable, they have some more gameplay ramifications to them.
Another change to the bombs is if you use a bomb when you leap out, you do not leap as far. So that'll make using a non-bomb leap more effective. So you're going to have to decide, do I want to use the bomb and I don't escape from the corner as well, or do I not throw the bomb, but then I'm going to jump the normal distance where you really get out of the corner?
Yeah, and because they start up faster, them not going as far also lets you be able to do follow-up combos easier without having to sort of like... Because there were some characters that didn't get a lot out of a bomb, where now it should be more even with what you get out of them.
Yeah, so it's basically like Paulo said, like in terms of combos and damage potential, they're actually better, but they're really, really cheap, like traps that you can't get out of, they're now normalized.
Awesome. That's good. A lot of people are going to enjoy that.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's talk more about the actual characters then. So let's go to the screen and chat. So let's just start at the beginning. Hellboy, does he have any changes?
Hellboy has a lot of changes if you've been working on him.
Right. Okay, so he's...
And for everybody else, he has like 100% changes. Everything's changed because he didn't exist.
100% new, guys, so that's great. Sub-Zero?
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero and Starfire got their base attributes adjusted, so he's more in line with the other like ninja-type characters, and she's more in line with the power female characters. It won't have a lot of ramifications to competitive play, but it'll affect you if you're playing with gear. It'll change their top-end gear stats differently depending on how you use your gear.
So the first character we really wanted to talk about and show is Swamp Thing. So similar to the last balance patch, we wanted to keep Swamp Thing playing very similar, but kind of increase what makes him interesting. So when his character power is up, his standing 3 and his down back 2 now have armor. So let's try here. Hold on, I'm gonna down 1. All right.
We practiced this earlier, but
There you go. So now it has armor, and his down back 2 has no armor. Another really cool change is his back forward 3. Let's see, it normally travels this far. You can actually hold it and travel significantly farther. So this can be used to go under projectiles to close distance very quickly. The trade-off is it is now more negative on block the longer you hold it. So it does have a downside. But it can be very good for beating zoning. If they have a high projectile, he can actually go directly under it and beat it out and then get a combo. And finally, his log kick is now actually safe on block. I think it's -4, it's something like that. And that's going to give him low risk, low reward mix-ups. They're going to make those even better.
Yeah, it also makes it a little bit safer on miss actually also. So if somebody jumps over it, they'll have to plan their air attack better, or just be able to like just punish you flat out for missing it. It's a little harder to do now.
Yeah, and so all the block strings that you do where you go to the log kick are now going to be even better.
Awesome. That's Swamp Thing.
That's Swamp Thing.
A lot of cool changes for Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool keeping very, very unique, but making him even better when his character powers out. So while Joker's here, why don't we just talk about Joker?
I don't think Joker got any changes.
No changes. Just kidding. Joker actually got a new move. He now has a new back 2.
So he actually stabs, and it's actually an overhead attack. So this coupled with this, you can actually do some combos from this. And if you meter burn the gun,
You get a combo.
you can actually get combos after and such. The same thing with the other one. We've made a lot of hitbox adjustments to his normals and some of his specials, so some things will hit more consistently against all sides characters.
His standing 2 will now hit a little bit better. His meter burn gun combos will hit a little more consistency. Now, you may be wondering what happened to his old back 2. It is now actually a special move. Down back 3, and he now has an invincible wake-up attack. I'm super excited about this change.
Yeah, and it's something you can do in the middle of your strings too, it's not completely safe on block, but it's still fairly safe on block. It's -7, so most people can't punish it, or he'll at least be negative, where he's got to respect you after it. But it's something you can just throw out in the middle of your strings to keep sort of semi-pressure on the opponent.
Yep.
And as a wake-up attack, this isn't meant to be like the greatest wake-up attack in the game. Like this isn't like like a fully invincible launching wake-up attack, but it's almost invincible the whole time. It's very hard to punish. It has a really good hitbox. It can actually hit from behind too, which is super fun. Oh man, do you think we're gonna have it happen?
With Swamp Thing's probably too slow.
Yeah, these jumps too slow. But trust me, the gas canister can actually hit. So that's a super exciting change. And the hit reaction on his gun has also changed. It's a little bit better. They actually will walk back.
Yeah, it
he
pushes
gets more
back a little bit.
space.
Yeah, so it pushes back a little bit. It used to be 0 on block up close, and now it's +5. So it actually
He hit
advantage. Yeah, on hit.
on hit. Yeah.
Big news, guys.
Yeah.
Stream is now saying Swamp Thing is OP.
That's the first hot take we have?
That's the first hot take.
So Swamp Thing and Joker, the E-League, well, it won't be an E-League. That'll be NEC Grand Finals, Swamp Thing versus Joker.
Yep, that's
what they haven't even seen, Firestorm.
Oh. But wait, there's more. Cool. So those are, that pretty much it for those two?
Yeah.
So we're going to see a guy in a hot dog suit win NEC, is what you're saying?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Buff Superman's heat vision. I think we're good.
So let's also show Cyborg and Ivy.
Fighters approaching Metropolis.
Dude, that's really cool. I mean, giving somebody a wake up and like creating a new move to help them in that part of the game. That's really interesting.
And speaking of that, there are two other characters I can think of that had pretty weak wake-up attacks. Some would argue they didn't have a wake-up attack. So in the
Try and guess
Hellboy,
them?
Cyborg and Ivy.
Thanks, man.
In the Hellboy trailer, we actually snuck in a sneak peek of this move, and everyone assumed it was legendary gear. You assumed wrong. Low Swipe is a brand new special move that's invincible. It's safe on block. It has really good range. And then Ivy now has a down back 2.
Down forward, too.
Down forward 2, which is a fully invincible or almost fully invincible wake-up attack. Like Joker's, it doesn't even, Shurs doesn't even knock you down. This is not meant to completely change her meta. She now gets up for free. Like, it's insane.
And hers isn't safe on block, so she can't do all of a sudden her big, because she was big on, hitting you while you're blocking and building a lot of meter, doing a lot of chip. So she's not able to use this thing to be safe on block. It's unsafe on block. But it just gives her another option to do on wake up.
Essentially, the design idea here was Ivy was a character who really had a terrible wake-up attack, and that's kind of helps keep her balanced. And instead we wanted to dial up, and now she just has a decent, a usable wake-up attack.
Yeah. And speaking of people assuming that the Cyborg thing was legendary, these two characters are actually two of the characters that have new legendary multiverses in this patch, too.
And they're both pretty good.
Yeah.
Cyborg also, his 2-3 is now... He has this big power fist.
He has a power fist. It's got increased range, and it has a couple more active frames, so you can use it on people's wake up and stuff.
Look at these footsies.
Yeah, and those aren't the only two who get multiverses this time around either. People are saying
Correct.
only two.
No.
Another group of them, which you'll see very shortly. No, not today, but you'll see them when the patches go live.
His sweep was also made safe on block, which is another, just a nice change. His sweep has good range. It's always good to have a nice, safe sweep.
Cool.
So that's Cyborg and Ivy.
All right. Let's move on. Now, I know that...
There is one more thing about Cyborg. Power Fist now actually comes out on block or whiff. Previously, if the opponent blocked the Power Fist, you did not have the option to meter burn it and have it come out. The opponent can still interrupt this. They don't even need to use armor. They can just jab through it. But if they're not prepared, if you catch them sleeping, you can make that safe using the bar meter. Or you can use it on a whiff. Like if they try to come in, you can go ahead and use it. It can catch people.
Cool. People, I see we're asking for Hellboy. Yeah, we're going to show balance first. We're going to do all the balance puts for another few more minutes, and then we'll get all the new Hellboy stuff you're excited to show as well.
Yes.
So Hellboy is on the way. Just wanted to show everybody the characters you've been playing, how they're going to change.
For Catwoman, the change we made is we actually decreased her walk speed slightly. The intention is not to make her move like she did in Injustice 1. Like, she still has top 5 walk speed in the game. She just is not in hyper combat now.
Got it. Who we got next?
Batman is next. With Batman, we have increased the charge time for his character power. Previously, once he used a bat, it took 9 seconds to get another bat. Now it will take 12. We've also made some adjustments to meter gain. When he throws a batarang or an up batarang, previously it took 13 batarangs to build a Mar meter, which really added up when he was zoning someone out. It will now take over twice that amount. So that means his zoning is still going to be effective for how good the batarangs are, but the imperative to get in, or he's going to get bar of meter to use all of his good moves, will be less. You can now kind of take your time walking in. You don't have to worry about him building so many bars of meter. And then there's a couple of changes to his jump too.
Yeah, it is a small hitbox adjustment, similar to what we did with Catwoman in the previous patch. It's not something where the jump to is dramatically changed. It just doesn't extend down as far, and it's more straighter across. It's still very effective as a cross-up, and it's still a very good jump tag.
So I think overall, Batman's going, if you play Batman, he's going to basically play the same, but some of the matches where you're really does well and he really controls the pace of the match are going to be slightly harder for him because he's going to get his character power a little bit less and he's going to have a little bit less meter.
Cool.
And that's very similar to the change we made to Red Hood. His Gotham Stars now build less meter, And we've also lowered the damage on his mine and his meter burn lunge, which means they do less chip and build less meter.
Yeah, and it's something where it got like a 1 base damage reduction. It's not something where all of a sudden does half damage now. It's just it does slightly less damage.
You're right. Like instead of like previously a meter burn lunge would do like 7%, it will now do I think 5.
Yeah.
And we've also changed the pushback when you block the meter burn lunge. He is still not going to be punishable. He is far away, but he's not like full screen
Yeah.
basically when
And,
you block it.
The regular lunge, if you don't meter burn it, is now more punishable on block and on whiff. So so it makes it a little bit harder to just throw it and move out constantly. And then if you want to make it safe, you're gonna have to commit to meter burning it, as opposed to putting the guess of whether or not you can meter burn the opponent. It's more on you now.
Which was always kind of the intention, but in real play it was just a little bit too hard to see, oh, he didn't meter burn it, now it's time to punish. It should actually be a little bit more easier now.
Cool.
So then we go to Deadshot. We did the same thing we did with Batman and Red Hood. The wrist shot now builds significantly less meter.
That's been done to most of his gun moves, build less meter in some ways. Like the standing wrist shot by itself builds a lot less meter, and then some of the other rifle shots and the ricochet shot build a little bit less meter.
Okay.
And so the idea here is, the way that he zones and the way the meter burn rifle works, we really liked. But in some matches, it was too easy for him to build meter to then do it. So with this change, the idea would be the meter burn rifle is still great. If you block it, he's zoning you out. You can't do anything about it. But he's going to have to be smarter about when he does it. We've also made the wrist shot be slightly slower and have more recovery on whiff.
It's only on whiff or block, so a lot of the combos you're able to do mid-screen will still work because it's actually a little bit faster recovery on hit, but it has slower startup, so it compensates for itself. But it does make it where it's a little bit easier to just move around while he's wrist shotting when you're trying to avoid him and you're blocking him.
Yeah, he is still going to control the pace of most matchups, but it's going to be a little bit easier to like walk in, take your time, and when you're trying to walk in, he's not going to be building as much meter to then keep you pushed out with meter burn rifle forever.
Excellent.
And then for him and Red Hood, their multi-hit moves like the air guns and his meter burn low rifle, those are also now clashable, similar to how Aquaman's Strider Rush is, where both the normal one and the meter burn one is clashable. Those are one of the few moves in the game, because they're like these chip out guaranteed death situations, we let you be able to take the hit and then clash to get out of it.
So with Blue Beetle, we did two things. We said before why we didn't buff him is we really like how he played. He has a really unique play style. So we looked at some of the reasons why he's not as effective as we hoped, and one is damage. So we've actually decreased the scaling on a few of his moves that he uses in combos. So you can look for his combos to do a little bit more damage.
Yeah, it'll be similar along the lines of how Supergirl's damage changed a couple patches ago, where it's not like he's all of a sudden doing a bunch more damage now, but it does increase where a couple combos now will stack up where the opponent's then in danger, and then they have to fight Blue Beetle a little bit differently.
And then secondly, we, similar to Joker, looked at some of his hitboxes on his normal attacks. There's several that they've gone through, and they should hit more consistently against like crouching characters.
Awesome. Let's show some more stuff now.
Let's show Firestorm.
Let's show Firestorm, and let's put him up against just Firestorm, I guess, huh?
Firestorm Mirror?
Let's do Firestorm Scarecrow.
Okay.
Scarecrow.
So Firestorm also got a new move, and I'm pretty excited by it.
Yeah, it's going to change the way he plays a lot, I
Yes.
think.
So one of the things about Firestorm is his character power was meant to make him like, it's similar to Bane. When he gets it out, he's supposed to be one of the better characters in the game, but we saw that he just wasn't getting it out often as much as we want. So he has a new move called Heat Flux, where he actually charges it. Similar to like Sinestro in the first game, and the longer you charge it, you can see it actually building. The time that it takes to recharge is also just a little bit slower, faster. So he's going to get it more throughout the match. We've also made it so that when he activates it, he recovers faster. Pretty significant. So that's going to lead to some combos and setups that he did not have before.
If you hit somebody with a meter burn molten trap, now you can do stuff like back three down to activate his character power and then continue the combo going. Where then you're now for the other person's wake up, you're now in the like active like blue character power. So it'll let you be able to activate it in more situations where you couldn't before.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Hot take from the boards.
Okay.
Top tier.
Top tier now?
Instant.
Firestorm?
Instant top tier.
Wow.
Hot take,
this is not intended to be where he's going to be at level 3 like constantly, but we should see it more often. Another change is his jump 1 is now significantly faster. It's now one of the faster jump attacks in the game. Like it's in that 5 frames of activation group.
Yeah, it matches
So-
the good ones like Deadshot, Superman, where you're able to sort of, because he sort of struggles in his anti-air and like just general anti, when the opponent's jumping around or air dashing around. Where now just doing an instant jump on is a good strategy to use against that.
Yeah, so now if you read the opponent's going to try to jump over Molten Trap, you can do the typical Injustice Classic preemptive jump one and beat it. And lastly, we made an improvement to his neutral game. He can now hold forward on his back 3, and it actually, this is his normal back 3. That's the range of it. And if he holds forward, you can see he goes significantly farther.
Yeah, and it's something where if you do that, he does have less recovery on block or miss. So it's not something you just want to throw up constantly. It's only when you know you're going to do it and the opponent's further away. And you can use it with the meter burn option also to be able to punish somebody for just throwing out attacks from further away.
Yeah, so he will not be plus when he holds it, but he'll still be safe, and it's awesome. Like it really covers that mid-range game really well.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's some good buffs for Firestorm.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped.
Somebody in chat said, oh, buffs for Firestorm. Looks like we're going to see more Firestorm. Yeah, that's actually the point.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. Like,
Yeah.
I've never watched a tournament and think, man, there's too much Firestorm. Get the professor out of here.
We got two more people to talk about real quick. I know you guys are wanting to see Hellboy.
So then we're going to talk about Captain Cold. Captain Cold, basically, it is no secret that there are some matches that he really dominated when he got the bubble out and when the puddle was on the floor. So there's been some slight adjustments to that.
Yeah, so the puddle lasts for 3 seconds on the floor, down from 5 now. So it's a little bit less, but it still lets you be able to build up at least 1 bar of his character power. And it also lets you be able to put it out there and sort of zone the character away, and you have to figure out a way to get over it. Same thing with the bubble now lasts about half a second slower, or half a second less than it did before. So it gives you a little bit where he's got the bubble out and the ground out. Characters that didn't have a way in can now sort of keep him at bay a little bit longer, but it's still going to be a decent struggle against it, but it's not as hard as it used to be.
However, if he gets to level 3, the Cryogenic Blast now has reduced damage scaling, so he gets better combos when he uses level 3.
Yeah, it's actually quite a bit damage scaling. So there are a lot of times when people stop building bar up to level 2 when you could go to level 3, and then when you're at level 3, it actually increases damage of his other special moves. So even if you're only going to use level 2 bubble, a lot of times you should be at level 3 just because of the increased damage from his normal fireball and stuff.
And lastly, we want to talk about Scarecrow. With Scarecrow, we saw a lot in tournament. There were scenarios where he'd turn his character power and, the opponent was really, really out of options. Like he'd do a huge chunks of damage. So what we've done is we've adjusted it so each tick of his character power now does more damage. However, it has to last for more ticks to equal the damage it should be, if that makes sense. So think about it. He does... I'm using a number, he does 100 damage. It's now over a longer period of time, but in greater burst, which means if he gets next to you, you're going to take a lot. But then once you get away, there's less ticks.
Yeah, and it's something where it's a very small number. It's like
Yeah.
it would go from like 100 to 150, and instead of taking 1 second for each tick, it'll take a second and a half. So he's still doing the exact same damage as before. He just does it in bigger bursts over a longer period of time, and that lets you sort of be able to get away. You still like... It sort of gives you a little bit of a hope. You're still pretty much dead, but you at least have that little chance.
However, if he is now in hit stun, there's now a penalty, and he will only be doing 2/3 the damage. So if you're like before, if you combo him, you were done. Now you will be able to survive a couple more ticks because you'll be doing 2/3.
Yeah, that'll at least let you be able to sort of maybe get a hit in and then fall back. And then because it's ticking slower, you might be able to fall back and then avoid some of the damage.
So it doesn't make you totally turtle up when he does that. If you want to get in there, think you have enough health to like maybe finish him off, you'll be able to mitigate damage that way.
However, Scarecrow is actually buffed in another way. We've made his teleport better than ever. It is now faster, it has faster startup, has slightly better recovery, and now has some projectile invincibility when he activates it.
Yeah, it's actually projectile invulnerable on frame 6, so you can actually see projectiles coming and then teleport on them on reaction. It still has a decent recovery where you're not going to be teleporting on projectiles and then fully punishing people, but you're at least going to be behind them and not be as negative as you were before, so you can then start playing your game, and then it's pretty scary when Scarecrows are close.
Yeah, so Scarecrow is... The trait is maybe 5% less cheap, but his tools to do with zoning are a little bit better to compensate for it.
Cool.
So I'm pretty excited by those changes too.
That is exciting stuff. Some really cool stuff that came out today. I think a lot of people are really happy. We've heard a lot about Joker. We've heard a lot about Beetle. We've heard a lot about Firestorm. So there we go. And we created new moves to help other characters in some of their problem areas. There's a lot of other stuff in the patch notes that, we're not going to go over a lot of the sort of number stuff that we want to get to Hellboy. So we're
Yeah.
going to go through a lot of that. But we'll have the patch notes up posted today or tomorrow.